This episode of Fun City contains conflict with an NYPD officer, but he's a real doofus. You guys are alone in the mess hall of the Mrs. Egg. What do you want to do with your day?
Viv is going to download that app, Arcanix, and make a profile. And then she's going to walk around the city.
All right.
So she's getting up from the mess hall and walking out to the deck where she has her hammock. And she can see through her AR glasses her home screen. And I don't know if you know this, but she has a fairly nice comlink. It's a Fairlight Caliban. She picked it. It's a device rating of 7.
Wow.
It's pretty high.
That is very nice.
But she picked it because it was named Caliban, which is the son of Sycorax, the witch from The Tempest. So she found it familiar. And among technology and this world now, she can take, she takes everything she can get. So she pulls up her keyboard, like in the air, AR, and she chicken types how she thinks it's spelled. Like she's pecking at the air with 2 pointed fingers.
Oh, like hunt and peck.
Yeah. Arcanix. And, she sees the home screen. There's still like, she doesn't know how to delete the widgets. And she sees like the news ticker.
She still has that NASCAR app that it came with. Like, it's weird that NASCAR is still around, but like...
Or maybe it's a dead widget and it just never got deleted.
Yeah.
And does she see Lash on a cam or something, like at the game?
Oh yeah, sure. I mean, there's a
Yes.
there's a recent news item that a citizen who got randomly chosen for audience participation at the Urban Brawl game that's happening on Highland Island got very close to being the first ever to score a goal, but unfortunately she didn't make it.
And Viv just like whispers, "I thought we were laying low."
You see in the story at the header, there is a photo. There is a beautiful, like potentially Pulitzer Prize winning photo of 2 Brawl stars looking up as very clearly Lash Goodbog flips over them. She is upside down holding a Urban Brawl ball. She has a giant grin on her face.
Well, upon seeing that photo, Viv is proud. That's our girl.
Call for fan art of that photo.
Yes, please. So Viv is sitting in the hammock and creating a profile. She doesn't put her real name. She puts in the name Tusk, which is an old alias that she has. And for the photo, she doesn't have anything stored in her comlink because that's not what she does. But she quickly takes a picture of her right hand, which has a tattoo of the Lily of the Valley. And that's her profile picture.
Cool. It looks great.
And
before we get too much further.
yes.
Were you going to say something?
I'm sorry. Did you say Lily of the Valley flower? Okay, cool. That's good.
So like what we've talked about this, but I just want to insert a little explainer here. What is Arcanix?
Arcanix is a social media network for magicians who want to be seen and found. It tracks like astral signatures around the city. It's kind of like Foursquare check-in or
like the Audubon app. You're like, I saw a blue-footed booby in this location.
Yeah, like Spotter. So if you can sense, then you could report in like, I felt this aura here.
Yeah, this does sound like something that, portions of the magic community would be very upset about the existence of, because it's essentially a tracking app for their location. But like, so is Foursquare, and that exists.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think she doesn't mind it because she has a lot of she's an astral chameleon.
Mm-hmm.
So whatever location she has, she would have to report it.
Mm-hmm.
And she's not very easily traceable. So anyone that's sensing her has to have a test, an extra test of perception.
Got it. Nice. Okay, yeah. You have made a profile on Arcanix. What do you want to do?
She looks around the boat, like just on the deck. She's just circling, just turning around in a circle. Does she see anything?
I mean, you're kind of like out in the water. There's not a lot around. No one has really like checked into this location. As far as you know, there have been no awakened visitors to the Mrs. Egg. So there's no like no users nearby.
And she, decides to take a walk north towards Central Park.
Cool. You head in the direction of Central Park. Are you going to go to Central Park?
Yes.
All right. I'm going to ask the same question that I asked of Bijan/TK. Do we want to use this as an excuse to talk about what has happened to Central Park?
Absolutely.
Okay. So Central Park is largely unchanged, actually, from its pre-cataclysm layout. It's in the same portion of Manhattan. It takes up roughly the same area. There was talk when the city was being rebuilt about closing that land and developing it and putting high-rises on it. But a number of corporations decided actually that the park itself is responsible for enough tourism that it would be an unwise economic decision to exclude it in rebuilt New York's design. Thanks to advances in forestry and microclimate science, Central Park now does also have a few more areas than it did in the past. There is a clear geodesic dome in the northwest corner that encloses a small rainforest. That is sponsored in large part by As Technology, who has branded its exterior shamelessly. Central Park Zoo has also grown and recently acquired its first few critters as part of a Thaumatological? As part of a thaumatological study program with the Massachusetts Institute of Technology and Thaumatology?
What would be
Talking about like thaumaturgy, that kind of stuff.
Thaumaturgy, that's what it is.
Yeah.
Massachusetts.
Thaumaturgy.
The Massachusetts Institute of Technology and Thaumaturgy.
Yeah.
MITT is a thing that exists in like Shadowrun.
Oh, another MIT.
Yeah. Interesting. Overall, also the number of water features in Central Park has grown. This thanks to also an MITT study that happened that determined that when you have more water features per square block, you can charge more for nearby apartments because it masks city noise.
Wow.
And so all of the corporations went on a building spree for waterfalls and fountains and other various water features. At the center of the park in the Jacqueline Kennedy Onassis Reservoir, which maintains its name, that is what it is called today. They did add the largest sort of feature waterfall in its northeastern quarter, and though swimming is not permitted in the reservoir, the edges of it have been converted to a heated 365 days a year beach. That is run courtesy of Charisma, the global PR company that is owned by the Horizon Mega Corporation.
Which Viv is familiar with.
Which Viv has worked for. So you are in Central Park. Where do you want to go?
She wants to go somewhere quiet to meditate, preferably around one of the bodies of water. So the beach is probably not where she wants to go because there are a lot of people. So
today, especially, it is like, even though you can't swim and it's a humid day, people would be out sunning themselves and listening to boom boxes and stuff.
Yeah, so she heads toward a small body of water, I think. I know the reservoir is northeast?
Yeah.
I think maybe northwest is probably a smaller body of water somewhere else.
Yeah, sure. In the northwestern corner, not all the way up in the northwestern corner, but just, what is that, around 90th Street?
Yeah.
On the west side. There is a medium-large pool that has a statue of Venus in the center, and she is surrounded by various wildlife from the ocean. And there are some people around, but they're just kind of lounging, reading. It's pretty quiet. And there are a bunch of stone benches around the fountain.
Cool. So Viv walks to the water's edge, sits cross-legged, and wants to summon quietly, summon a Selkie quietly from the pool.
And what is a selkie?
A selkie is a seal that can transform into a human shape when necessary.
That is wild.
It's cool. It's really cool.
Yeah, roll it up.
Okay, spell casting is 12. She got 2 hits. And she did 7 hits on the drain.
And what force? What?
This is a force of 3.
Okay.
Ooh.
And how many hits did you get?
2.
You successfully summon that selkie.
Yeah. You can hear it, but you can't see it because it hasn't been materialized.
A cool presence envelops a small portion around the fountain, and yeah, you successfully summon a selkie.
And she just says, "Blessings to you, O Venus. Blessing to you, children." You know, the statues around the fountain. And
the water sort of like waves and ripples slightly.
And she whispers to it, "Will you keep watch?"
A distant and somehow yet pervasive voice says,
Viv exhales. She's gonna do a meditation right now.
"Hell yeah." I
If
think we could all use it.
you can insert the, you remember when you did the last one with the ding?
Sure, yeah.
Yeah. I pray for healing blessings on the water. I pray for healing blessings on the sea. I pray for healing blessings on the rivers. I call to waters in the eastern realms. May the power of reason be gifted to the water. Fire of water, I call to the waters in the southern realms. May the power of compassion and love be gifted to the water. Water of water, I call to the waters in the western realms. May the power of hope and change be gifted to the water. Earth of water, we are calling to waters in the northern realms. May the power of strength and stability be gifted to the water. May the power of the sun above and Earth's inner light be combined to nurture and heal our water in all realms. The river is flowing, flowing, and growing back to the sea. Mother, carry me, the child I will always be. Mother, carry me back to the sea. And you can feel the water in front of her pulsate outward.
And as Viv is Viv saying this aloud? Is she just thinking it?
She's whispering it.
Whispering it?
To herself.
As Viv is whispering this, just over the section of the park that she's in, the clouds are growing a little bit flatter, and they're gathering, and they're getting a little more gray. And as Viv ends her meditation, there's a small sprinkle of rain. It's like that moment in very hot, humid days where as it starts to rain for just a few seconds, for a few minutes, when it rains, it cools down, and it's much wetter now because it is raining, but it's no longer oppressively humid. It's not gross and hot. And the people who are there around the fountain, it's like not enough rain that they leave. They're just sort of like, oh, you know, some people put some of their electronics in their bag, but no one gets up to leave.
And she just has her face, she has her eyes closed, her face is like enjoying the moisture, and she goes,
Is there anything else that you want to do?
she takes a look at her AR display
Okay.
and checks Arcanics in Central Park. She just starts walking around toward the big boulders.
Yeah,
Do you know where that is?
I do. Yeah.
Yeah. Hi friends, Jen the Player here. I'm here to talk to you about our Patreon. What's that? It's a way for you, the very nice listener, to support Fun City directly. Become a chummer for $5 a month and get so much stuff. We've got a post-game chat show called Fun Chatty, access to our Discord to talk to other chummers, high-quality ad-free private RSS feed, character sheets, our world tracking docs, a top-secret cold storage archive updated every Tuesday by yours truly, a link to our perpetually updated Cyberpunk Spotify playlist, occasional directors and players notes, and thanks on our website. Hop into VR and meet us at patreon.com/FunCityVentures. Again, that's patreon.com/FunCityVentures. I promise to save you a fun milk.
So as you're walking around, you are sort of fumbling with your comm link, trying to figure out how to use this interface. It seems like some of the features are secret. Like there are things that you can do where it's not obvious, and the buttons they don't all look like buttons. So it's like kind of strange, and kind of you're like, I don't know how these young mages do this.
It's gestural.
You're just waving your comm link around in the air, trying to find something. And you actually find a fair number of check-ins in a specific location in the park with a lot of comments associated with them. And the comments are always like, not a ley line, but ... question mark. And another comment reads, wow, ! Strange energy, ? And it's all pictures of a giant mossy rock. And it is a rock that you would recognize. It held, at one point, the residence or the studio, the workshop?
Lodge.
The lodge of the person who trained you.
Mm-hmm.
Whose name is, I believe, Lemortimer?
Yeah. Viv's face goes slack because she forgot that he was here.
I mean, if you were to assense right now, and I'll just give it to you, like there's no magical presence.
Yeah.
Like as you approach it, it's a big moss-covered rock. It looks very unassuming. It just looks like a big rock. And there's no astral signature. There's no trail of any kind. But just it's kind of like the memories just come flooding back. You saw that one photo and you're like, it was right here. It was this one.
Yeah. And she's scrolling through the comments. She's using like a whole palm to like scroll through these pages of comments about this one rock. And she's like, oh no. And she walks forward and touches the rock. And so her hand sort of falls through it. And she walks forward and steps on a Lego and just goes, oh. She looks around and there are toy trains, untouched and dusty, around what used to be a lodge.
You tell me about Lemortimer's workshop.
He was obsessed with toy trains.
There's a bunch of L's in there.
But this person was of the earth. So Viv is of the water, and this person answers to the mentor spirit, the mountain. And she backs away slowly because she does not want to be caught here.
Why don't you, should I not? You made a hand motion that makes me think like Viv doesn't want to talk about this.
She accidentally, okay, so Viv is quite old. And when magic reawakened in 2012, she was 56 years old. When it reawakened, she had latent powers, did not know what was happening. She thought she was senile.
Wait, so Viv like transformed into an elf?
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah. So she doesn't know what's going on with her. And so she does research and goes to a doctorate program at Université Occidentale de Bretagne and enrolls in marine sciences because she traced it back. Her lineage is like French Lady of the Lake. And she, over the course of study, finds Lemortimer, who teaches her how to hone this magic. Because he could feel it on her, and she doesn't know what it is.
As Viv is backing out of Lemortimer's lodge and sort of like walking away from some of the history and thinking about her training, she kind of starts to idly walk around Central Park and dips back into an old memory. We are in Central Park. many, many, many years ago. It is after the superstructure has been built, so the city is very different, but still in some senses the same. And Viv is... How old is Viv now in 2101?
145.
Okay, so Viv would now be in her maybe 80s?
Yeah.
Or so?
Yeah, that makes sense.
And she is standing in a portion of Central Park with a also old, maybe like in his 90s, man with a white mop of hair that is very, very messy. He is wearing a tattered blazer that is sort of semi-ripped at the elbows. The ends of it are all kind of frayed. He's wearing gray baggy sweatpants and like orthopedic sneakers. And he leans on a short stick. And they're in what looks like they're in a portion of the park that looks like a corralled in almost bocce court. It's got tall cinder block walls on three sides towards the end. It's a long, skinny, like dirt or clay pathway. And the old man is pointing at a sack of potatoes that's at the other end.
Mm-hmm.
And he says,
"Now, Vivian, I want you to try it this time. I want you to really put your mind and your heart in it."
Vivian, could you please roll your spell casting, which is 4 dice?
She makes, she grunts and gets one hit.
There's a dull pop, and a like small ball of energy issues from Vivian's hand and curves to the left a little bit and hits the wall slightly off to the side of the sack of potatoes. And Lamortimer like gives a little bit of a nod, and he's like,
Yeah. I mean, you could do better. I think you're not feeling it. You gotta just...
I'm parched here.
I mean, when was the last time you talked to the sea? I mean, I know you said that you thought she was a little off. I know she can be mean, but like, you have to talk.
I feel like a teenager again.
Well, I mean, in a way, she's your mother, so that makes sense.
Yes, but I don't have to listen to my mother.
Unfortunately, in this specific instance, you, in fact, do.
and he's banging his cane and making a little hole in the sand.
If I could...
Try again. Just try it again. And just picture the ocean. Just calm, blue ocean.
She's so flustered.
Picture the ocean.
She's looking
and
around
then
for...
fuck up the potatoes.
Looking around for a fountain, and she got 0 hits.
You are picturing the ocean, and you sort of try to put all of your calm into one place. You try to organize all of your feelings, and you didn't glitch. You just got 0 hits?
Yeah.
Okay. You try to organize all of your feelings, and you start to feel like you got it. You're in the right headspace, and you perform the motions that Lamortimer has showed you hundreds of times, and literally nothing happens.
Yeah.
It feels like you've just done a ballet move.
Oh, this is pointless.
It's not pointless. You just... Listen, I know you're used to being good at things. You gotta give some power over. You can't be in charge of everything.
Can she look around, and is there like a fountain, like a water fountain?
Yeah, there like off in the distance behind you, you can see the fountain that you were just in front of dozens of years later. It's like a tiny speck in the distance.
I'm just really thirsty. I really need a little water.
A NYPD Incorporated officer rounds one of the walls nearby, comes out from behind a particularly large tree. He is holding a large water bottle, but he looks at you and Lamortimer, and he flattens his brow. NYPD Incorporated police officer is seeing some people practicing magic, and he says,
Excuse me? Madam?
Lamortimer immediately gets this, like, tired look on his face.
Madam and sir? we're, of course, supposed to be patrolling this area, and, of course, it is a major issue if we see two particular individuals practicing arcana in the park, madam and sir.
Sir?
Mortimer puts his hand up and his eyes are completely closed like he's going to recite this from memory.
I'm sure you are aware that no laws have been passed at this point prohibiting the practice of awakened arts in public. Should the courts rule in such a way, we will gladly abstain from our public display. But as of this moment, we are law-abiding citizens simply playing a somewhat peculiar game of bocce.
Are you resisting arrest, sir?
We pose no danger.
I'll be the judge of that, madams and sir.
We pose
now I see two particular individuals who are engaging in suspicious activity, and that gives me due process to ask you to please stop your activity and submit to further monitoring.
Viv puts her hands up.
Have you bothered the young ladies that practice with their wooden swords in the south? You know, the ones with the metal arms?
Sir, I can only deal with the issue that is in front of me at this time, sir. I think you should behave more like your friend here, and please put your hands up in the air, sir.
Viv is staring at the water bottle, and she can feel something.
Mortimer walks over to the cop, and he's like a tiny old man. And what does this guy look like?
He's just sort of a round guy with a bald head and a pack of hot dogs for a neck back.
Hell yeah.
He's got nano shades.
Oh, no.
Like propped up on his forehead, not
Buddy.
even touching his eyes, even though it is daylight and he should be wearing the sunglasses. They're still up on his head.
Mortimer approaches him, and he's like maybe half of this guy's height, and he starts pointing his finger up at him, and he's like, what about those kids with the wired reflexes in the basketball? You know, they
I am
could
trying to treat you with respect, sir, and you are putting your finger into my personal space, sir. I have no choice but to interpret that as an aggressive move, sir.
Mortimer is just continuing to lay into this guy, like starting to quote statute and trying to tell this man that there's no reason for him to intervene and that he's not doing anything wrong.
I have made an ocular assessment of the area, sir. And I have determined that you are behaving in an aggressive manner, and therefore it is reasonable for me to engage in shit. He's like, he kind of thinks to himself.
Is
for a
he
second.
getting parched yelling like this?
What?
Is he getting from yelling? Is he gonna?
Absolutely, yeah. You could tell. Yeah, why not?
Viv is staring at the water bottle, and she can feel it. She can feel the sea all the way from over where she's standing, and just looking. She's not even moving her hands. She still has them up, and the cap pops off, and the water starts like boiling in the bottle.
The water is boiling?
Or it starts to like bubble in the bottle.
Like oxygenating.
Yeah.
Releasing oxygen.
Yikes. He notices, and he looks down, and he grabs the bottle, and he says, you must please stop, and failure to reciprocate my commands will result in immediate escalation, and this will become a kinetic situation. Ma'am, sir, please stop me. I have to get my water back.
Casts control actions at him to raise the water bottle into the air.
Please roll your spell casting, which in this moment, feeling a surge of energy from the sea, becomes 6 dice.
Okay. Oh boy. Let's see what happens. It's 1 hit.
I mean, we'll see how he does.
Wow.
What does he roll against?
Wait, no one has spent any edge, right?
No.
Not this whole time. Well, she will.
History edge.
Do I get to roll mine, or should I wait until Edge is rolled?
You can roll yours, yeah.
One of my best rolls.
You get 2.
Yeah.
You can re-roll that 6.
Ooh.
Oh.
Uh-oh. 3.
Wow, she got 2 hits.
He is like backing away from Mortimer, who's starting to make like silly magic-y hand motions. But as you try to reach into his brainstem and control his body, it's like there's something that's blocking you. There's a fog.
He may be too dumb to control, like trying to control a stack of wood or something like that.
Like, it's not a library. It's like a kiosk or like a magazine rack.
An empty magazine rack.
And actually, your vision kind of like narrows a little bit. It's like you have a vignette in your field of view, and you hear a pervasive and yet somehow distant voice for the first time. And it says,
And this incenses Viv so much. She's already frustrated. She's old. She could be at home watching a trid. Like, she's out here and it's hot. And Lamortimer's yelling at her. He's been yelling at her all afternoon. And she just cannot take this anymore.
And the police officer takes out his stun baton and approaches Mortimer. He is going to stun him.
Lamortimer starts shouting. He's like, "What are you gonna do with that? You gonna stun an old man? You gonna stun a defenseless old man?"
Affirmative, sir.
Lamortimer is raising his walking stick in a way that you have only seen him do, Viv, when he is about to cast a spell.
Yes.
Unless you stop him.
The Mortimer.
Melt a cop. Lamortimer.
Melt the cop.
She's got to learn it from somewhere.
Yeah.
This is the day she learns
Yeah.
power bolt.
Oh no.
Wow. Best roll of the day. Oh my gosh.
Oh.
Whoa.
That boy's melted.
Lamortimer, I'm just gonna stop.
Yeah. You're at a limit, I bet.
Lamortimer rolled as well as he possibly could, and at this point, he is an extremely talented magician.
Wow.
He raises. You can see his face is red, and like the bald spot on the back of his head is sweaty, and he's been shouting for a couple minutes now, and it's like you know this about him, that he is sick of the way the police treat the awakened in New York City, and he's sick of not being able to practice his arts in public, and he's raising his like knotted like big piece of wood like walking stick that he uses, and he's raising it and he's pointing it at the face of this guy who's bothering you. And as he shouts and shouts, you can see his hand starts to glow a like dull red, and it seeps its way into the walking stick, and the walking stick starts to glow and glow as he yells. And
Get down on the ground, sir! You get down on the ground right now!
And Lamortimer at this point stops yelling, and he sort of like focuses himself, and he says, "If you don't leave now, you're gonna regret it."
The cop tries to stun him with the baton.
And
Okay.
Viv,
Oh.
in a panic, casts Catch Type, which is the Jedi pull,
Do it.
on the staff.
Which is a wooden object, so it is the lowest resistance. You need to beat 1.
She got 4 hits.
Okay. How many did you roll? Because it's not your full dice pool.
Oh, it's not my full dice pool. That's right. Sorry.
Roll 6.
Oh, I want to succeed at something today.
Oh, now you know how I feel.
This is so sad. 1, 2, 3.
That's fine. You have more than enough.
Wow.
You wrestle with your mind in an instant. It's like everything sort of like goes away. Your adrenaline is surging so much, and you don't know what's going to happen next, but you know that this is one way to delay some very, very bad thing from happening. But you reach your arm out, and it's like you had half a thought before suddenly there's a wooden impact in your palm, and you're holding a very warm and surprisingly heavy walking stick.
And it's aimed at both the cop and Lamortimer.
I mean, it's like you can tell that the magical charge is gone, but as soon as it leaves Lamortimer's hand, you hear a much louder pop than the one that you heard issue from your hand a few minutes ago, and an errant mana bolt just sort of like flies off into a tree somewhere and knocks down a branch that falls to the ground flaming. Lamortimer is going to roll reaction plus intuition to dodge a taser. I mean, I don't know how serious we want to get about combat, but he also did very well. He got 5 hits.
Damn. Wow.
He dodged it.
Yeah.
Okay. He as the walking stick is pulled out of his hand, it sort of like jerks him to the side, and the taser misses him by an inch.
And she is, first of all, shocked that she's holding the stick, and second, forgets herself and is like, yeah. And then sees the cop like lunging at Mortimer, and she's like, oh no. And she starts to run forward at them.
Mortimer is now yelling at the top of his lungs about how, if this guy's going to get it, if he doesn't back off, and this is police harassment, he's going to call his lawyer, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, she runs forward and she's like, please, 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 stop. We'll go.
The cop, even though the manibolt misses and he's visibly shaken that it went so close to his head, and when Viv begins to run toward him, even though she is doing it in a pacifist, sort of almost non-violent manner,
she's still holding a magic stick.
He thinks she is gonna shove that magic stick up his asshole, and so he says, "All right, you people have a lovely day here, and try to be good citizens." And he runs.
Mortimer sort of like hunches over and puts his hands on his knees. It's like, those fucking cops ruining this city. They think they own the place. And I guess in some sense they do.
And Viv is sweating. Like she's holding this stick limply in her left hand and just shaking her head. Like, I did that. I did it.
We dissolve back to present day Central Park, and Viv finds herself sort of subconsciously. She has navigated to the old bocce court. And there she is. There is no sack of potatoes up against the far wall, but you have brought yourself to your old stomping grounds.
And she kicks at the dirt and like flexes her hand as if she was holding like the stick. And she just looks around like over his shoulder in case he's there, but he isn't.
You are now leaving Fun City for a little bit longer than you normally do. This concludes the current arc of Fun City material recorded before the pandemic temporarily closed Fortunate Horse. Stay tuned on this feed for a bonus mini-series arc where the cast play all new characters in a game of Stillfleet, a sci-fi system set 100 million years in the future. Episode 1 is scheduled to release July 17th. We'll update our Twitter and our Patreon first if that timing changes. Lash, Luxe, TK, Viv, Yuri, Vern, and Gabe will return the moment it is safe for the six of us to sit in a tiny room together in Greenpoint. And believe me when I say, we don't think that moment can come soon enough. Thank you so much for listening. If you want to support the show, get access to bonus one-off episodes, our bi-weekly post-episode chat show Fun Chatty, and our Discord, head on over to patreon.com/Fun City Ventures. And of course, thank you to all of our current patrons for help keeping this ship afloat. We'd also love it if you told your pals about the show, shared it on social media, drew us some fan art, gave us a rating on iTunes, or just came by to say hey on Twitter.
I'm Bijan Steven, and I am TK. You can find me online at Bijan Steven on Twitter, which is BIJANSTEPHEN, or on Instagram, and you should just Google that.
I'm Jen De La Vega. I am Viv. You can find me online at Randwiches. That's the word sandwiches, but just replace the S with an R.
This is Nick Guercio. I play Luxe. You can find me on Twitter at NGUERSH, and Instagram at NGuercio, GUERCIO.
This is Shannon Odell. I play Lash Goodbog. You can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Shodell, SHODELL.
This is Taylor Moore, and I play all the bad boys. I'm at taylor.biz.
My name is Mike Rugnetta. I am your GM. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Mike Rugnetta. You can find the show on Twitter and Instagram at Fun City Ventures. Fun City was recorded at Fortunate Horse in beautiful Greenpoint, Brooklyn. It was produced, edited, and sound designed by me, Mike Rugnetta. Pixlriffs collected the most magic coins on Arcanix this week. Fun City's music is by Sam Tyndall. Our art is by Tess Stone. Our Discord mods are Olivia Goulin, Kit, and Kestrel. And the voice of Artemis is Molly Templeton.